Welcome back to Base Hit Trading. You may notice that this video is a day behind, and that's because yesterday I was driving all day to get back home. But I'm home now, I've set up my PC, and I've already taken trades today. But first I gotta make yesterday's video. So, yesterday, we ended the day with a profit of $8.47. That's a 4.52% growth from the account value of that morning. We started off this week with a $5 loss, so that was huge. That pushed us to a profit of 1.76% for this week so far. So, step in the right direction towards our 7% weekly goal. Today, I took two trades. The first one was a tiny little trade on NCPL. Let's dive in and look at that. So one thing you'll probably notice about this trade is that it was kind of messy and kind of pointless, if I'm being honest. I think this was a $25 position, so not very big, but what I was testing was kind of this working theory that this was like a sloppy cup and handle sort of formation. So I was adding on a very small position at what I thought would be the bottom of the handle, which is what I wished I did last time I saw one of these form, except that's not what this ended up being. It didn't match the textbook description, it didn't look perfect. So really, I shouldn't have used any buying power at all. I got out with an 80-cent profit, really small, but at least it wasn't a $1 or $2 or even a $3 loss. So can't be too upset, but I'm gonna go ahead and speed up this little portion because it's not all that exciting. So what I eventually ended up doing here, as you can see, is I set a take profit just barely above my buy-in because I wanted out, but I didn't want to start the day with a small green loss, and I felt like I could give this a little bit of time to do something. And it hit my take profit, and I was out, and I was glad to be. The next stock I traded was OCG. This was a stock that was moving up and had been moving up essentially all day. Some mild pullbacks, but ultimately I felt confident in that it was going to continue going up. So when I saw it dipping down here, I saw an opportunity to buy, and I did. I didn't use a super big position size initially, and I actually did something that usually you shouldn't do, and that was averaging down. So you can see here I bought 8 shares at $5.92, and right off the rip, go down a little bit, but let's see what eventually ended up happening. So what I decided to do here was I ended up adding 20 shares to my existing 8 shares at a lower price. That's called averaging down, and usually that's a recipe for disaster because that means you're losing and you want to add in a little more because you think it's going to go back up. But a lot of people will do that when they're down 50, 60 bucks and they're like, oh, this is great, it's going to turn around. I personally thought that this was a good decision on this specific trade because of the uptrend and the MACD and everything else that it had going for it. So I did, and as you can see, it did what I thought it was going to do. It started turning around. Right here, I decided to do something smart for once, and I sold off 25% of my shares because I decided I need to pay myself. But the rest, I wanted to let it ride. Because if I had a loss of $5 right now, I'd be very tempted to just wait a little bit and see. So I'm trying to reverse that psychology and sell my losers when they become losers before they become huge, and keep my winners, if it's reasonable, and let them become a little bit bigger. So I'm trying to reverse that, and here's how it played out. And right here is where I figured this is a good enough base hit. I want to cash out, get green, and stay green. And I did. I sold all my shares, and I ended that day with an $8.47 winner. So with that trade, we were not only back in the green for the week, but back in green for the month. Because that initial $5 loss at the very beginning of this week put me down 4 cents below where I actually started. It was a good trade. Good day, and I'm happy with it. I'm happy to have added another green day to the month of December, and I hope to add many more. Thanks for watching, subscribe and like, and happy trading.